What's up guys, it's Aaronitmar, and today we have a brand new Famitsu column by Sakurai in which he discusses quite a few things, but specifically talks about the virus, you know what one I'm talking about, that has spread across the world and how that could impact him and his current project with the Fighter Pass 2 for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And he goes into a little bit of detail there, so I thought that would be an interesting video. One, because I like to look at these sometimes and look at Sakurai's thoughts, but two, it actually directly affects, potentially, when all of this is going to come out, when the Fighter Pass 2 will drop, whether they have to push the deadlines up because of, the fact that we have to be self-quarantining and all that. So we're going to jump into this article, and we are going to take a look at what Sakurai has to say. But before we start, I want to thank NOKOLO and SourceGaming for supplying this translation, because we would not know about this without them. They do excellent work. SourceGaming is always on top of translating anything that Sakurai talks about, so huge thank you to them. And the link will be in the description if you want to read the full transcript of the column, because I'm not going to go word for word. I'm just going to kind of summarize a little bit and then give my thoughts. So the last article that Sakurai did was a sort of special one with manga artist Saho Yamamoto, and that took place about a month ago. And Sakurai says that in that time since they did that, in that 1 month, the world has of course been really shaken up and really been changing because of this virus. He goes on to talk about events that have been canceled or postponed because of these really world-changing events. PAX East had a ton of people, a ton of developers and manufacturers who pulled out just to avoid spread of the virus. GDC was also put on hold, which is the Game Developer Conference, and a bunch of different esports events are being put on hold. As a Smash community, we know that tons of majors have had to be postponed or have been really shaken up. CEO Dreamland just happened. A ton of people had to cancel that, which resulted in a ton of refunds, which as a result really hit the bottom line of the people who organize the events. And the trouble with that is, you don't want to go into massive debt for a tournament, and that was what was potentially going to happen. So just a ton of events have been just shaken up by this virus, and Sakurai notes that specifically. He talks about how people are being advised to work from home, especially in Japan, because of how close they are to the point of origin of this virus. But in the industry that they work in, it's kind of a difficult task to do. They can't exactly bring development kits home, and they are working with classified information. A lot of their stuff is under NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and so the chance of it leaking out if they were to take it home is just, exponentially increased. And so they can't exactly do that, and so they're kind of right now being forced to still go into work. He also talks about how business trips are becoming a bit more of a hassle too. He goes to Nintendo in Kyoto, which is not where Soar Limited and Bandai Namco are working on the game, and so having to go there to sort of meet with Nintendo is becoming a bit of a hassle. And on top of that, because he is working on DLC fighters that are from non-Nintendo properties, he's going to have to work with other publishers, present the fighter, present his ideas, and he's just going to have to actually physically go to places, and that is made much more difficult because of all of the travel embargoes and just the different precautions that you have to take with this virus. And so he says it's becoming a bit more difficult to actually do his job as far as doing those meetings. He says business is going as usual at the actual offices for the development of the game, but the other aspects are becoming more challenging. And then he goes a bit worst case scenario mode, as you do in times like this, and he talks about how if problems get worse and worse with this situation, that he may have to completely shut down operations as they are indefinitely, which will be, of course, a huge roadblock in the development of these last 6 fighters. He says that fighter announcements will be delayed if this is the case, and of course that makes sense because presumably the character is continually worked on until release day, and a month out from when they actually decide to reveal the character, that's when they begin preparations, that's when they begin getting promotional screenshots, that's when the trailer starts to get made, things like that. So if the character can't get finished, then the actual reveal can't get started, and as a result, we just simply will not have that character revealed yet, and that will just put a huge delay on their schedule. We all know that the Fighter Pass 2 is supposed to be released by December 2021, but if they can't keep the schedule that they have internally, then it's possible that it'll go later simply because they can't work on the game. Beyond that, he says things like manufacturing, distribution, and sales are all being impacted, and at each point, that makes sense. For manufacturing, people aren't going into work, so they can't actually make the product to sell. On distribution, people aren't going into work to actually move the product to different stores to be able to be sold. And then, of course, people aren't going out to actually purchase things because they're self-quarantining, they're staying home, or presumably they can't work, so money is a bit tight, so they can't purchase things. So everywhere it's being impacted across the board, and it's just a crazy situation. He says that at home, he is following the recommended protocol, and I assume he's doing his best to stay healthy and stay away from, large crowds and things like that when he actually does go out to work, because of course he still has to go to work. But he appears to say that he is following the protocol for now. And he says that during all this, games will still probably sell well, although of course it's probably going to be on the digital end more so than the physical end. But people are staying home, so they've just got more time for games. But he says that this whole situation is going to cast a huge shadow on the internal side, on the development side, things like that, because people can't go into work or people aren't buying things, so it's just going to cause a huge issue. And personally, I think we're about to see a huge drought of a lack of announcements. And then once people can go to work and they can continue to work on their games, we're going to see a huge surge where we're just going to get bombarded with announcements that were supposed to come out over the summer that potentially will not come out. But he seems to really be feeling the pressure on whether or not he should start to slow down on development for the time being, just to keep the building clean, just to keep his employees healthy. He really just, it's just not a fun situation, man. It sucks. And he really begs the fans just to please understand this is a really trying time. Obviously, this is not what he would want, but it's just, it may be for the best in order to get through this whole situation. But then he ends on a sort of hopeful positive. He says that the column has now been running for 3 years, and he hopes that we can recover from this in order to look back on that sentence and smile. And that is the end of the article, and personally, I think that they are probably going to put the brakes on development, is the wording that Sakurai used. They're just going to have to sort of slow it down for now. I can't imagine that it will stop entirely, but I imagine that a team this size is going to shrink to about a team this size because they're just recommending everybody self-quarantine in order to reduce the spread of the virus. Personally, I can't see, knowing Sakurai and knowing his work ethic, I can't see him not working. I imagine that even if he dismissed his staff for a month, he would still go to work on a normal schedule. He would, pluck away at that rock, chip away until the character was formed. And, I can't imagine that no work would get done, but it would just be significantly slowed down as a result of, having a fraction of the staff there. But as he says, it's necessary. I mean, as much as we love video games and as much as right now they are an escape for us in this moment of isolation, this just global pandemic, it's just not an essential thing right now. We need to worry about the global society. We need to worry about people's health. We need to make sure people, aren't going hungry. They have the resources they need. And, as much as we love video games, they're just non-essential right now. So yeah, I don't know. It's a really bad situation. I honestly wish we weren't in it, of course, because it's just terrible. But we are going to have to make do with what we can do. And we as a community, I hope that we support Sakurai if he has to cease development. I know that it would be a very difficult decision for him to make. So I hope that we can sort of support him and say, we understand. Thank you for all the hard work you're doing. And thank you for, having to make these hard decisions, because there are a lot of stinkers on the internet. There are a lot of people who would complain and say, who cares? It's just a little cold, go work on Waluigi or whoever. So we definitely need to, if this happens, we should rally around him and just say, we're here for you. We will be ready for the next character when it's available. And please just stay healthy. And that's my message to all of you. Please just stay healthy. If you can, please stay home. Please just isolate yourself with just your family, and hopefully we will get through this. That is going to be it for this video, you guys. I know this is kind of more serious than I normally get, but it's just a serious time. And the topic of the video was serious, so I figured I should just sort of end serious and just give my advice. So stay safe out there, stay healthy. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.